ENFPs are informing, they don't like confrontation, they are emotional, idealistic, optimistic by nature. They like abstract intellectual discussions, and they literally are like idea generators. ENFPs have intense emotions. They struggle with their inner worth and figuring out what are their own values and who they are as people. ENFP kind of needs someone who can make them grow as humans, but then also give them enough freedom for all the opportunities they want to take, but yet can still kind of ground them into the reality a bit. The real question for ENFPs, how to find your compatibility, is what do you as an ENFP value in your life? Because this will affect your decisions. So basically, ENFPs belong to the NF temperament, and the compatibility for NF temperament is of course another NF temperament. So basically other NFPs and NFJs. That's why we have NFPs and NFJs on top of the chart. The reciprocal temperament for ENFP is the anti-temperament. They are as interested in the abstract theoretical concepts, but they come from a completely different complementary approach to it. And based on the cognitive functions, we can put them into a chart looking like this. This is not a 100% perfect chart. If you want to know more what is this whole theory based on, just look at this video to know more about it. But now let's talk about the ENFP compatibility. Let's start with the reciprocal relationship. So let's start with the personality types that have the completely opposite cognitive function stack than ENFPs. And the highest we have, of course, the same temperament that ENFP has, an INFJ. Why an INFJ, not an ENFJ? Because we still want to balance the energy levels within a relationship. So basically an ENFP is highly energetic type, which fits really nicely with an INFJ. ENFJ is also nice, but then there is two people more active and no one is actually receiving the energy. I wouldn't be too worried with being with an INFJ because of their extroverted feeling, high function. They are still pretty social, extroverted type to be an introvert. So both INFJs and ENFPs are idealistic, they are optimistic, they like having ideas, they love abstract topics. So basically they can have really stimulating discussions and also a nice complementary way of approaching them due to their completely opposite cognitive function stack. Basically they both value world in similar manners, just from different perspective, other from the extroverted, ethical, external value-based perspective, and the other one has a strong inner perspective, inner moral values and understanding of things. They can have a deep sense of understanding due to these functions. Also, the ENFP are highly critical towards themselves, they have high standards for themselves, and the INFJ can provide a bit of support, give a bit of validation for the ENFP. And what I think might potentially be challenging is that the ENFPs are usually pretty energetic, stimulating types, so the INFJ might get exhausted by that. But if the INFJ can, with their extrovertedness, match the level of ENFP, then I think it's also good for the ENFP to learn how to be alone sometimes, how to take the space for yourself, and also how to give a bit of attention to your inner world, not always throwing it out to the external. Overall, I think this is a pretty balanced pairing. There are going to be some struggles. Neither of them are detail-oriented. They don't care about washing dishes. They don't care about organizing the actual physical reality. I think eventually it comes down to what is the kind of relationship that the ENFP wants. This is a potentially highly compatible pairing, but not necessarily so if you wish to have someone who can make you more grounded to reality. So next one we have ENFJ. So basically all the same strengths as an INFJ will give to you as an ENFJ. But I think the difference is going to be the ENFJ might give too much external validation for the ENFP and also stimulate the ENFP too much in the way that there is actually no one receiving kind of that stimulation. No one is receiving the energy. Both are just bombarding each other with highly energetic, extroverted energy. And let's be honest, ENFX is one of the most extroverted types we have out there. I could imagine they love to party together. They are gonna be the sweet, cute, little, caring, let's live in our love bubble couple. They both hate confrontation. They're just gonna give validation for each other all the time. They don't like consistency, stability, and those things. They're not gonna be focusing at least on those things. But what is the good thing is that if they both recognize their weaknesses, they can really face those weaknesses and challenges together and work towards them together. Next one, we have ISTP. I think ISTP ENFP is a really interesting couple, and to be honest, probably more compatible than one might expect. They are both pretty chill type. They both really value freedom. No one can control them. So they kind of have an understanding in that. They both care about the perception. They live life as it happens, as it manifests. They're not trying to control it. And I could imagine they can have also this kind of dark humor connection. They have nice emotional connection. And to be honest, I would expect that their physical compatibility is higher than you might expect, because the ISTP's introverted intuition child function can actually really look up to the extroverted intuition leading function that the ENFP has. So basically stimulate a lot. ISTP can really be like super fun to be around. The ISTP might also be entertained by the ENFP and vice versa. They might have separate different interests that might create a bit of challenges, because the ISTP is still a utilitarian, pretty realistic type. And they care about the truth also, how things are truly right now manifesting in the world. The ENFP has a different kind of approach. So in that sense, there is a bit of mismatch in there. But of course, they can learn a lot from each other and grow and communicate effectively. Perhaps they can understand each other better. Not the most compatible pairing, but can definitely provide a lot of growth. Yeah, and of course, next one we have ESTP. So basically the extroverted type. ESTP, ENFP, super fun, chill, adventurous, stimulating, you know, all of those things. It's probably super fun to be friends with these two types if you have these around you. But I don't see this relationship really working long term, because no one is actually kind of taking the ground and saying, hey, this is where we are at now and this is where we want to go in the future. They both live in the moment in their own really different ways. Like the ENFP is more living in the head of the potential possibilities of the future, and the ESTP is kind of living in the realistic physical reality of the moment. So they kind of live in different lands, if you know what I mean. And since they're both extroverted, there's no one even receiving in the relation, so they're both just bombarding their different ways of seeing life on each other. Not the most compatible pairing, I would say, but definitely short term, is it fun? Is it adventurous? Is it stimulating? Like, yeah, sure. So now let's move to the middle. Here we have both reciprocal and resemblance relationships. So basically these types have similar cognitive functions than you do, and they also have different cognitive functions. So naturally, that means that you have a sense of understanding each other, but there's also a sense of not understanding each other, which can be a good thing when it comes to romantic relationships. Okay, first one, INTJ. This is the anime couple. You know, in all anime, there's like this cute little ENFP girl who's like super talkative and like just goes around and doesn't take care of the details. And then there's this INTJ, stoic, cold, harsh guy who's just like, huh, I'm so cool. Seriously, I think this is definitely one of the most compatible pairings for ENFP, but I would suspect it's a rare combination. Why? INTJs are, first of all, super rare, and second, what are the chances that these two guys are gonna be, you know, interested in knowing each other? So INTJs are directing, they are systematic, they are utilitarian. Basically, they are all the opposite that ENFPs are. ENFPs are informing, ENFPs are interest-based, so they are mostly care about things they are interested in, and ENFPs are cooperative. Basically, they both care about the same things in completely different ways. They are reciprocal. So basically, both care about these abstract theories, topics, and intuitive discussions, but their approach to it is gonna be different. ENFP, INTJ can definitely be the power couple. Depending if you, ENFP, want more kind of like growth, stimulation, power, energy in the relationship, you choose an INTJ. But if you want more harmony, love, share your beautiful values, ideas with someone in your dreamland, then maybe you might go for an INFJ. I think this might be a funny couple, because the ENFP is gonna look at the INTJ like super excited, like, oh my god, the INTJ is super cool, and the INTJ is like just stoic and like just looking at everyone like they're stupid, you know, like, are you an idiot when you say something like that? ENFP doesn't take it into themselves. They're just laughing, oh, that's so cool, you're so funny. But seriously, if they do get it work, they actually start getting to know each other and appreciate their differences, I definitely know and see a lot of potential for this to work. ENFPs are quick on their feet, always looking for new stimulation, and then having millions of ideas. The INTJ just looking at the ideas, yeah, I'm gonna pick these ideas, these are really good. I'm gonna take the ideas here and make something beautiful out of it. And yet simultaneously, they have an understanding of values, because they're both introverted feeling and extroverted thinking users. So they both like have an understanding of being themselves, unique selves. and moral values. But I do see challenges in the ways they also differ, because the INTJ is going to question and criticize what the ENFP is thinking. And depending on the ENFP, perhaps an ENFP who is more, business oriented or society oriented could be more open to receiving a lot of criticism from the INTJ. But if the ENFP kind of is more the creative, the more sensitive version, then I think it might be a mismatch. Okay, ENFP, ENTJ next. Okay, you choose an ENTJ if you want the business arrangement and you're ready to receive all the downsides of it, okay? ENTJs are even more controlling than INTJs. This is because the ENTJ orients the controlling aspect to the external, it's not just internal. ENTJs care about efficiency, orderliness, structure, reasoning. So ENTJ ENFP is gonna be like the optimal, ideal business relationship, you know what I mean? But I'm not quite sure in a romantic wise how this might work, because the ENTJ is going to naturally really work differently than the ENFP. Again, if they're both open and mature, anything can work. And to be honest, have high potential even. ENTJ, ENFP definitely is an interesting combination, 100%. But like in real life, I see this definitely is probably super rare to happen. And also it depends how agreeable the ENTJ is, which we know they are not really agreeable, because neither of one is actually giving space for the other one. ENFPs believe that life is like a flow of water. Can't control it. You can maybe direct it, but you can't control it. You just go with it. ENTJs are nothing but about creating your path, doing things every day to actually achieve something what you believe you will achieve. It's a different kind of approach. Their way of just living life every day is different, but that's fine, could work. Next one, we have other anti-temperament types like INTP and ENTP. Well, ENFP and INTP can definitely be compatible also. The thing is that INTP and ENFP can have amazing conversations together. They also have a bit of emotional balance because of reciprocity in cognitive functions. ENTP, INTP, and ENFP are all ADHD people. So basically they are all going to be disorganized, not super balanced mostly, short attention spans, chaos, no structure. But seriously, I have just a horror scenario where it's like the TI leading function of INTP is just telling the ENFP's face how their abstract idea is really stupid and it doesn't make sense. So basically the ENFP's extrovert thinking child is hurt at this point. It's like, oh my god, he doesn't value my thoughts. And then second is like introvert feeling is hurt. Okay, because he doesn't value my thoughts, now I'm not valuable. I don't feel like he cares about me. I don't feel like he appreciates me. And then it's like introvert sensing even is there like, oh my god, like he even said I'm irresponsible. Like all I'm trying to do is to be responsible. Like all my fears coming true. This is just a horror scenario, okay? That's like what could happen. Also, I'm not sure how the INTP is also going to regulate the ENFP energy, because that is way too much extroversion for the INTP. INTP and ENFP could definitely work. There's still a bit of balance. They both value freedom of ideas, freedom of thought. You know, they can have abstract ideas and share them together. Could be a potential match. Next one, ENTP. ENTP and ENFP is like taking cocaine. There's so many fun ideas and there's just so much fun and they just hype each other up. But then the TI critical parent comes there and tells the exact same problem that with the INTP, you know, basically. But the ENTP is extremely confrontational, so there's no actually like any filter there. But again, if the ENTP is really emotionally sensitive, can be a nice match. But again, two extroverted, chaotic people together, not recommending, okay? Can you please find balancing reciprocal relationships? Okay, next one we have ISF. So we have ISFP, ESFP, ISFJ, and ESFJ. I'm just gonna be completely honest. INFJ and INTJ, who are the most compatible pairing for ENFP, are extremely rare. So what I've seen mostly in real life is that ENFPs pair a lot with either ISFP or SFJs, which I think makes sense because they are much more common types, and ENFP is again one of the most common intuitive types. Why an ISFP? You know, they have similar values. They care about being who they truly are, giving space for each other to be who they truly are. They think humans are unique and they see each other as that also. They want to live every day gratefully without trying to control it, you know. ENFP with their visions can give a lot of energy to the ISFP ISFP, the ISFP gets hyped up by the ENFP energy. Also, I think the ENFPs can feel like they can talk with the ISFP about almost anything, you know, their ideas, creativity, topics. They still have the introverted intuition, child function there, which means they are ready to receive childishly, naively, they're ready to receive those ideas. It inspires them, it's super fun, it's entertaining, you know. They are both also considerate to each other because they both value those emotional things. And since they are both extrovert thinking users, they value each other's opinions. So they're ready to receive each other's opinions all the time. But if their values don't match, then there might be challenges. They might argue over things they care about, the things they value about. And also, since they're both highly emotional types, they're gonna be seeking validation from each other. That's why it's a bit difficult, because it's like no one is actually giving each other the validation. I mean, they have to do it for each other, but they can't fully, you know, be in their comfort zone doing that, because they kind of have to take into account the other person's feelings all the time when they are already exhausted with their own strong emotional worlds that they have within themselves. They might also have really different interests in life, which can really be a bit mismatched. And a deep connection is still a bit hard to actually evolve in this relationship. But it's definitely an easygoing relationship, it's chill, and they kind of still value freedom, authenticity, and all of these things that can create an understanding. ESFP. This is a mean girls couple, okay? Okay, they're gonna have a lot of fun, they're gonna just gossip around, but like definitely short-term relationship. This is no long-term stuff, okay? They're just gonna like go around and judge other people and gossip about it. I'm sorry to say this, but there's two extrovert thinking child functions together. Like, they love talking. There's no one quiet moment in this relationship. Next one. ISFJs. Okay, this is something I want to highlight. What I've noticed in real life is that ENFPs who have a bit of emotional insecurity or feelings of worthlessness, loneliness, whatever they're dealing with, if they are dealing with something, it's really common for them to find an ISFJ to be with. I think it's because the introverted feeling can be already a bit hurt, insecure, feeling of worthiness, a lot of like these kind of inner struggles. And the ISFJ's extroverted feeling function provides validation, provides the security they are seeking. And their introverted sensing inferior function can really feel like, I'm not consistent enough, I'm not stable enough, I'm not dutiful enough, I'm not doing the best I could, I'm all over the place, I'm chaotic. If they are negatively biased that way towards themselves, you know, highly critical, high standards, then like the ISFJ can really give them like a feeling of security. They are kind of the safe space. There might be not like a deep connection evolving, but what there is, there can be a security, there can be consistency, there can be validation, emotional connection, you know, that those kind of things that an ENFP might need in real life. That's why I think SFJ and ENFP couple is maybe surprisingly common in our society. Resemblance relationship, INFP. I don't think in this ENFP-INFP relationship there is enough contrast. Although it's nicer to have an introvert, you know, the receiving and the giving kind of perspective is kind of existing there. And the ENFP is gonna aspire to be more kind of dutiful, disciplined, and to the introverted sensing that INFP has a bit higher, and also the introverted feeling, and they might really aspire to each other and like each other's way of functioning. Kind of like seeing your own weaknesses, also the same weaknesses as the other person has, it can be a bit exhausting. And I'm not sure how the INFP is going to balance the ENFP's, again, a really extroverted energy, and the INFP will need their own space. ENFP, ENFP. If I said ENFP, ENTP is like cocaine, I think this is even more, okay? It's like too stimulating, hyping each other up and validating each other's emotions even. Sharing a lot of funny ideas, thoughts. We are both insecure about our own emotions. We're both insecure about our duties, responsibilities, and etc, etc. And it's like we drag each other down there, you know? It's like being super hyped up and then suddenly getting a crazy crash there. And who is making who feeling special? Like they both are kind of seeking validation from each other, and it's not actually reciprocal relationship. They understand each other, but they kind of also don't like each other because how much they resemblance. And since ENFPs have high standards towards themselves, it's like imagine having someone else who also has really high standards to themselves and seeing your weaknesses also as theirs, and you criticize their weaknesses because you criticize also highly on your own weaknesses. It's like, that's not nice. Next one, ISTJ. STJs and NFPs, they actually also understand each other because they have the same cognitive function, but just in completely opposite different order. They agree on a lot of stuff. But the ISTJ is gonna have a more down-to-earth, a realistic, a bit pessimistic even sometimes. The ISTJ is like always preparing for the worst. But again, ISTJs are about routines, playing the safe game. They want order and they like to create order. And the ENFPs are spontaneous. They are loving, they are nurturing, they are caring. The ISTJ can learn also a lot from ENFPs. They're imaginative, open-minded, and the ISTJ can aspire to them. So basically, they agree on things. They just completely process things on different ways. So they might agree on things, they just completely disagree on how to do those things, you know? Like how to value yourself, how to structure your life. It's a mismatch, but they can learn and grow a lot. I'm not gonna go into ESTJ. If you know this relationship, please comment below. I wanna know how it goes because like this is probably the worst I could imagine a relationship to be. But yeah, hey, thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe to support my channel. What is the next compatibility you wanna know? Comment below. See you in the next video.